My name is Joyce Bean, and I'm 35 years old now. As I adjust my sports knee brace, I take slow, steady breaths to calm myself. I carefully do the exercises my physical therapist gave me. While moving through them, my mind starts to wander and think about the past. It's been 18 years since I gave up my dream of becoming a professional basketball player. That dream ended when my dad fell from scaffolding at a construction site. He hurt his spine badly and couldn't walk anymore. He had been the one who supported our family. My mom, who used to stay home, had to find a part-time job. But her income wasn't enough. So I turned down a college sports scholarship and moved to a big city to get a better-paying job. I sent most of my money back home every month to help cover my dad's medical bills and our family's needs. My younger sister, Betty, was still in middle school back then, and I also made sure she could get a good education. I gave up a lot of my own life to take care of my family. 7 months ago, I was coaching a charity basketball game at the NYCA in New York. Teaching kids helped fill the gap left by the dream I gave up. That day, one of the other coaches couldn't make it, so I ended up playing. "Show us more, coach." The kids cheered as I did my favorite move, a drive and a jump shot. But when I landed, I felt a sharp pain in my knee. "It's nothing," I told the other coach. "Just an old injury," flaring up. But by that night, my knee was swollen, and the next morning, I could barely walk. The doctor looked at it and said, "Miss Bean, your ACL is completely torn. This isn't an old injury coming back. It's a new one. You'll need surgery." I was shocked. "But I have a job." "I can't take time off," I said. "You don't have a choice," the doctor replied calmly. "If you don't get treatment, you could have trouble walking in the future." The room started to spin. My dad's medical bills, helping my mom, getting ready for Betty's wedding, and now this surgery. It would cost a lot out of pocket. "How long will recovery take?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "You won't be able to work for 1 to 3 weeks after surgery," the doctor said. "Full recovery will take about 7 months." I nodded quietly and called my family. I told them I was okay and that I could take care of the hospital arrangements myself. On the day of the surgery, I listened to the sound of the IV drip and tried to stay calm. A chill from the floor made me shiver. "Miss Bean, your temperature is 99 degrees, and your blood pressure is 115/75. Everything looks good," the nurse said with a smile, which helped a little. "We'll take you to the surgery room in about 40 minutes. Then my phone buzzed. It was my mom calling. "Joyce, I'm sorry I can't be there." "I can't leave your father alone," she said, her voice full of guilt. "But I'll call you as soon as your surgery is over." Outside my room, I could hear doctors and nurses walking around, other patients' families talking and laughing. My room was quiet. "It's okay, Mom," I said, trying to sound upbeat. "I can handle it. I'm used to it." After the call, I looked up at the ceiling, lying there alone, just like always. Whether it was tearing my Achilles during a high school game or my graduation or even getting my first promotion, I was always alone. Strong big sister, reliable Joyce. That's how everyone saw me. They thought I didn't need anyone. The nurse came back to check the IV. "Miss Bean, is your family coming?" she asked gently. "No," I said, staying calm. "But it's okay. I'm used to it." She gave me a kind look, but didn't say anything. I was always expected to be strong. I was never allowed to show weakness because I was the one holding the family together. This surgery and recovery were no different. "How's the pain?" Jerry, my physical therapist, asked during a video call, watching how I moved. "It's better than yesterday," I said, "but it's still hard to bend my knee all the way." "Recovery from ACL surgery takes time," he reminded me. It's slow, especially since you tend to push yourself too hard when you're alone. I gave a small laugh. That's just how I am. After the call, I took a sip of coffee and looked at my phone. There was a new message from my sister, Betty. "Joyce, the wedding plans are all done. Did you get the invitation? It's on April 11th. Please come." I smiled. I was truly excited about Betty and Patrick's wedding. It was just a month away. After all I'd been through with the surgery and recovery, thinking about the wedding brought me real happiness. I replied, "Of course, I'll be there, Betty. I can't wait." Then I walked over to my home office. On the computer, a folder was open titled Betty and Patrick Home Renovation Plans. I checked the quote from the renovation company and got, "Ready to send the money." I smiled with quiet satisfaction. Betty and Patrick would be living with my parents after the wedding. My dad's health was stable, but having younger people around would be comforting. I had saved $70,000 to help expand the house, a gift to support my sister's new life and to thank my parents for everything they had done. Suddenly, my phone rang again. It was my best friend, Ashley. "Joyce, did you see Betty's video?" "No." "I've been busy. What happened?" I asked. "There's something you should see," she said, sounding serious. "Hold on, I'll send you the link." A moment later, a message popped up. It was a link to a video posted on Aunt Jessica's Instagram. I started scrolling through the post, and my heart nearly stopped. There were photos and videos of Betty's wedding. Betty in a white dress, Patrick in a tuxedo, smiling parents, family, and friends all together in group pictures. The post was from last weekend. What does this mean? I could barely breathe. "Joyce, didn't you say Betty's wedding is in April?" Ashley asked, her voice filled with shock and anger. "The invitation I got said April 11th, I finally said, my voice shaking. "Why would she do this? Why? Wouldn't she tell me?" Ashley had no answer either. My hands started to shake. It wasn't April 11th. The wedding had already happened, and I wasn't invited. "Are you okay?" Ashley asked gently. "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't understand why Betty didn't invite me." "I'm coming over," Ashley said right away. "I'll be there in 40 minutes. I hung up without saying anything. I was too hurt and confused. I started wondering what I really meant to my family. That evening, we sat together in my living room. Ashley held a glass of wine as I stared at the floor. "I've called my family several times," I said. "No one's answered. I don't get it. Betty and I are sisters. I've done everything for her." "You're an amazing sister," Ashley said kindly. "Remember when you paid for her college? You've been paying your dad's medical bills too, so she could live her life without worry." I looked out the window. "Maybe that's the problem," I said quietly. I've always been the strong sister, the one who helps, the one who handles everything. Maybe they only saw me as support, not as part of the family. The next day, I decided to go see my parents in person. My heart was pounding as I walked up to the old one-story house. I hadn't told them I was coming. I took a deep breath and knocked. My mom, Emily, opened the door. She looked surprised. "Joyce, are you okay? Why are you here?" she asked. "What do you mean?" I said, confused. "I'm fine. My rehab's going well." She looked at me with wide eyes, then pulled me into a hug. "Come in. You should have called before coming all this way alone. I'll make some coffee." There was no guilt on her face, just happiness and surprise. It seemed like she didn't know anything yet. In the living room, my dad sat in his wheelchair by the window. "Who is it, Emily?" he asked, turning around. "It's Joyce," she said. His face lit up the moment he saw me. "What? Joyce?" my dad said, quickly rolling his wheelchair toward me. "Aren't you supposed to be in the hospital?" "Hospital? Why?" I asked, confused. Just then, Betty and Patrick walked out of the kitchen, holding drinks and clearly getting snacks ready. When Betty saw me, she froze. Her glass tilted in her hand and all the color drained from her face. "Joyce," she said in a shaky voice. Patrick dropped his glass. It shattered on the floor. "Is it really you?" he asked, voice trembling. "How? Why? We thought you were—" Betty stood frozen, her face pale, eyes wide and lips shaking. I looked at her straight on. "Nice to meet you, Patrick," I said. "I came because I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding." The room went completely silent. "What?" my mom asked, confused. "What do you mean, Joyce? You weren't invited?" My dad leaned forward, looking shocked. "What's going on here?" Betty looked at Patrick, then at me, and finally at our parents. She seemed panicked. "I found out from Aunt Jessica's Instagram," I said quietly. The wedding was last weekend, but the invitation you gave me said April 11th. What? My mom said, standing up. Betty, what is this? Patrick looked just as confused, staring at both of us. Betty told me Joyce was in critical condition, he said slowly. The doctors didn't allow any visitors. My dad's voice grew sharp. Critical condition? We were never told that. We thought she was recovering well. Patrick looked at Betty, his face full of shock and hurt. Betty, did you lie? Right before the wedding, you told me Joyce's condition got worse. You said she had complications after surgery and couldn't be discharged. You even said the doctors weren't allowing visitors. We were praying for her every day. I stood there, stunned and furious. Betty, I said, my voice shaking. Did you really tell your husband I was dying and tell our parents I couldn't come because of health problems? Betty didn't say a word. She just stood there, guilt written all over her face. Explain yourself, my father yelled, his voice full of anger, something I rarely heard from him. Finally, Betty spoke. Patrick, and I moved the wedding up. We wanted a small ceremony. Why didn't you tell Joyce? My mom asked, upset. Betty fumbled for words. I don't know. Just say it, I said calmly. They deserve to hear the truth. At last, Betty began to explain everything. I didn't want everyone focusing on Joyce, Betty said. I was scared her situation would take attention away from my wedding. What? Patrick said, clearly shocked. What are you talking about? It's about her knee surgery, Betty continued quickly. Everyone would have been asking about her, praising her for being brave and selfless. I didn't want my special day to become all about her surgery and recovery. The room went completely quiet. It's always like this, Betty added. Joyce is strong, responsible. Everyone always praises her, especially when the family gets together. She gets all the attention. Patrick looked at her in disbelief. So that's why you lied? You told people your sister was dying just to keep attention on yourself? His voice was full of disgust. He took a step away from her and walked over to me. Joyce, I'm really sorry. I didn't know any of this. On our wedding day, I actually wanted to go see you in the hospital right after the ceremony. Betty told me we couldn't. Betty, my mother said, her voice shaking, you lied to all of us. We didn't want to make a scene at the wedding, so we believed you. When people asked why Joyce wasn't there, we told them what you said, that she couldn't be discharged. My mom kept going, hurt in her voice. Even later, when we tried calling her, you told us she was still recovering. When I said my phone was broken and asked you to call her, you said she still needed rest. My father looked at Betty, his face filled with disappointment. Betty, he said slowly, why would you do something like this? We're family. I stood up, my heart heavy with sadness. Betty, I said, I had saved $70,000 for you. It was for the house renovation so you and Patrick could live here with Mom and Dad. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and showed them the screen. It displayed a scheduled transfer labeled Betty and Patrick, Renovation Fund, $70,000. But now, I said, pressing a button on the screen, I'm canceling it. I just can't do it anymore. Betty's face went pale. No, please, Joyce, we need that money. Patrick and I just got a mortgage. That's your problem, Patrick interrupted. Betty, I'm very disappointed in you. I can't believe you did this. He turned to me. Joyce, I'm sorry. You've always been the one supporting the family, and this is how you're treated. I should have seen the truth earlier. Patrick walked toward the door. Betty, we need to rethink everything. The way you treated your sister isn't okay. Betty panicked. Patrick, wait, she called out, hurrying after him. The room was silent again. My mom turned to me, tears in her eyes. Joyce, I didn't know. I know, Mom, I said softly. But this is something Betty and I need to deal with. I used to think Betty appreciated and respected me, especially after everything I've done for her over the years. My father rolled his wheelchair closer to me. Joyce, I know how much you've given up since my accident, he said. You missed out on your youth, your dreams, basketball. Dad, that's all in the past, I said, holding his hand. I don't regret it. I did it because I wanted to, for our family. He looked down. But Betty made her choices, I said quietly. And now I'm making mine. Later. That week, I was having breakfast at a cafe with Ashley. My phone kept buzzing. Still Betty? Ashley asked. I nodded. Yeah, she and Patrick are having problems. He's shocked by what she did and moved back in with his parents for now. She's been texting me a lot, apologizing and asking about the money. What are you going to do? I thought for a moment. I'm not giving her the money. This isn't just about money. It's about trust and respect. Good choice, Ashley said, sipping her coffee. But how do you know if she really wants to fix things or if she just wants the money? I'll wait, I said slowly. If she truly wants to change, time will show it. That evening, as I did my knee rehab exercises and watched the sunset through the window, my phone rang again. This time, it was Patrick. Joyce, may I speak with you? He asked. Of course, I replied. First, I want to say I'm sorry for what Betty did. I believed her when she said you were critically ill. I was part of the lie, even if I didn't mean to be. I paused before answering. You were misled, Patrick. This is Betty's responsibility. We're taking some time apart now, he said. Her actions don't match what I believe in, but I still care about her. She has good sides too. She just gets jealous sometimes. She's been like that since we were kids, I said. Whenever I got attention for sports, she would get upset. Yes, Patrick agreed. I'm trying to talk to her. If she truly wants to fix her relationship with you. I let out a deep breath. Patrick, you're a good person, but Betty needs to show that she's truly sorry, and she needs to act differently. If she does, I'll be open to it. A month later, after another physical therapy session, I felt stronger, not just in my body, but in my heart too. I was working on my laptop at a cafe when I heard a voice. Excuse me, someone said. Looked up. It was Betty. She looked thinner than usual with tired eyes. Can I sit here? She asked softly. I nodded, a little surprised, and pointed to the chair across from me. We sat in silence for a moment. Have you spoken to Patrick? I finally asked. Betty nodded. He told me to really think about what I've done and what's important in life, she said with a small smile. His words reminded me of things you've said before. I stayed quiet, waiting for her to go on. He's disappointed in how I treated you, she added. I listened. But that's not all, she continued. Patrick and I took out a loan for the house renovations. Now that he's left, I don't have a way to pay it back. He refuses to help with the payments. She took a folded piece of paper from her bag and handed it to me. It showed all her debts, renovation costs, wedding expenses, furniture, and appliances. I gave it back to her. What are you going to do? I found a second job, Betty said. I'm working at a restaurant on weekends. I also canceled the new furniture and decided to only do the most basic renovations. I saw some determination in her eyes and felt a small sense of respect. Joyce, I really am sorry, Betty said, looking straight at me. Not inviting you to my wedding was the biggest mistake I've ever made. I hurt you because I was jealous and selfish. And now I'm facing the consequences. Betty, I said slowly, did you come here because you're in debt or because you're truly sorry? Both, she answered honestly. At first, I was scared about the money. But these past few weeks, I've really thought about how you've always been there for me and how badly I treated you. She paused, then added, when I found out about the $70,000 you saved for us, I couldn't believe it. You were still thinking of helping us, even after everything I did. I stayed quiet, looking closely to see if she really meant it. I guess I've always been jealous of you, Betty admitted. You were always strong, dependable, and everyone looked up to you. I just wanted to feel like the main character for once, not in your shadow. Betty, I said gently, I never wanted to be the main character. I just wanted to help our family, especially after Dad's accident. I know, Betty said with a nod. I understand now. Patrick helped me see how much you've given up for all of us. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. This is just a small first step, she said, placing it on the table. I opened the envelope and looked inside. There was $300. It's part of my paycheck, Betty explained. I want to start paying you back, little by little each month. I don't know if I can ever return the full $70,000. Betty, I'm not upset because of the money, I said. I know, she replied. But this is my way of showing I'm serious, through actions, not just words. I thought for a moment. It's going to take time, Betty. Trust is hard to get back once it's broken. I understand, she said, standing up. But I won't give up. No matter how long it takes, I want to earn back your trust. I took a deep breath. I can't forgive you yet, I said. Then I looked her in the eyes. But if you're really trying to change, I'll keep an open mind. Betty gave a small smile. Thank you, Joyce. I took a sip of my coffee. I'm planning to have dinner at Mom and Dad's house next month. If you'd like, you can come too. Betty's face lit up. Really? It's just a small step, I said. It's a long road, but we're still family. A month later, I was having dinner at our parents' house. Betty arrived late. She looked tired, probably from work, but more at ease than before. Sorry I'm late, she said as she greeted everyone. It's no problem at all, my mom said. We were just starting to eat. During dinner, Betty talked about her second job and how she and Patrick were slowly working things out. They had almost gotten divorced, but Patrick had decided to give her another chance. After the meal, we all sat in the garden. My dad talked about his new treatment, and my mom shared neighborhood gossip. It felt like a normal family evening. Still, part of me had doubts about Betty. I wasn't ready to fully trust her yet. When Betty went inside to help Mom with the dishes, my dad turned to me. Joyce, he said quietly. She's really trying to change. I know, Dad, I replied. But rebuilding trust takes time. Of course, he nodded. But thank you for giving her a chance. On my way home that night, I looked up at the starry sky. Maybe Betty really is trying. She's working hard to repay her debts, fix things with Patrick, and rebuild her relationship with me. I couldn't completely trust her yet, but I could give her a chance. With time, I'll be able to see if she's truly changed, or just acting out of pressure. For now, I'll keep watching her actions, hoping she proves herself not just with words, but with real effort.